is to provide preferred services. So we've been successful in the insurance marketplace to go out to quite a few carriers and arrange special arrangements for our membership. Beyond us, there are 32 socially conscious partners, law firms, accounting firms. CLA, for instance, is a partner, which is a partner of Leading Age as well. And they've all provided a value proposition to the marketplace, to our membership that's unique to Tango. We do a lot of education. Last year we ran 50 something seminars and webinars, and then we have our own scholarship fund, our endowment that provides funding to people that work in the nonprofit sector, to help them become better at what they're doing. So we've given scholarships for people to get or finish up their bachelor's degree. We've done a lot of leadership training with those dollars. So if you have a rising star in your ranks that you feel is deserving of some additional education, please go to our website and nominate them. Once a year, we provide those scholarships. So Tango's a vibrant community, and you guys are welcome to join. If we'd love to have you. The bigger we get, the more we can do. Within the realm of Tango, we have all these partners too. So there's accounting firms, law firms, IT, various types of consulting groups that are part of Tango. So it enables us to reach into additional talent sources to, I think, round out some of the speaking engagements that we might want to do. So, and then when we talk about the council structure, so it's really three areas as I look at it, and I certainly want your guys' opinions on this. But one is we can bring thought leaders and subject matter experts to help go deep in certain areas of interest that you might have. Two, we want to focus on emerging topics. Again, there's so much innovation happening in the market right now that we keep our finger on that pulse, and we can bring to you, I think, some ideas on best practices, some trends that are emerging, certainly revolving around recruitment and retention. There's a lot happening in that space. And then probably most importantly, in any of these HR forums that we run or participate in, we definitely want to leave time for peer-to-peer networking. You guys can learn so much from each other, and it's a platform where you can share war stories and ideas and, exchange all those kind of things. I know in my business, I have a peer group, a study group of people that lead firms from around the country. It's been invaluable to me. So we do not want to disrupt that. Oftentimes you get your best ideas from your peers. So definitely want to keep that going. So in structuring the HR Council, we just put some general ideas up here. And the thought for today was to really start to pick your brain and one, see if you would like us to participate in this group. And if so, what type of topics might be of interest to you? And we can reach out to our network and bring in folks that are experts in all of these topics. And then we want to talk about cadence, committee structure, and whether or not CE credits are important to you guys. So any thoughts as you look at the topic list? Any thoughts, Glenn or Sue, on what's front and center for you guys as we try to build out something that's meaningful to you with Leading Age? We'd love to hear from you what challenges you guys have right now and what we might be able to do to kind of bring some color commentary and some depth into this group. And Andrea and Gil, please join me in your thoughts too.
I'm going to jump in. I know for us here at Jerome Home, by far the biggest item right now is recruitment.
Yeah.
More so on the clinical side, CNAs and nurses. Although we're still having trouble with housekeeping and dining. And one thing that's starting to pop up, and there's not anything you can do about this. I mean, it's probably in-house stuff. With cannabis being legal as of July 1st, a lot of applicants are starting to pop on their drug screen.
Wow. Isn't that
legal.
something?
It's
yeah,
legal.
Sure.
so that's happening. But mostly, really right now, the big thing is recruitment, and getting them in. I feel our benefits are in good shape. I think we have healthy benefits. I think our paid leave, which is a PTO program to use it as they want, I think that is healthy for us. Remote work doesn't really affect us because you can't remotely care for people in nursing homes.
Sure.
Mental health probably is a big thing for our staff. Compliance, we have so many different people telling us so many different things that we're supposed to do, and Andrea and Glenn can attest to this. We have our management company telling us what to do. We have the CDC telling us what to do. We have DPH telling us what to do. And sometimes they don't always line up exactly. And sometimes we just have issues. And really right now it's all revolving around COVID and how to deal with whatever silly little things happen to pop up.
Sure. So that's a great backdrop. Thank you for that. On the compliance front, we also in January have the Paid Family Medical Leave Act kicking in. And that is certainly, I think, going to end up being a disruptor to the workforce and recruitment and retention initiatives. So there's a lot going on in that space. The week doesn't go by that we're not having deep conversations on that very topic, recruitment and retention. What we're seeing is some of the more progressive employers really expand their benefit programs in non-traditional ways, really looking at providing mental health resources, providing an array of benefits that might cost an organization a small dollar amount or no dollar amount at all, just to kind of engage employees and make the perception of working there a little different than maybe a competitor. So there's a lot happening in that space. We'd be happy to throw together a session on that very topic. We're hearing it constantly, and there are some employers doing some really innovative things that are starting to bend that curve a little bit. Will we ever completely in this market right now figure it out? Probably not, but there are definitely some things that can be done. Glenn, how about you with your organization? What are you seeing and what are the pain points?
I had gone through a pretty good drought with recruitment, getting people on. Right now, it seems to be okay. I have like 8 people that I have joining me in the next couple of weeks. But that was a good deal of work and being able to focus just on that. The paid leave stuff, it scares me just because until you get a process, someone actually tries to use it and then they're calling, and of course they're going to be asking me the questions of how it's working, and I'm going to be referring them to the authority that doesn't have any answers yet. All of that scares me a bit. The mental health stuff, I definitely would like to have more offerings, something else that I can do for my team. We joined up with Zennovate, that has some kind of a new name now, Navati or something, this past year, and got very meager response from my team. But I want to make sure that I keep that in the forefront, because I think that the COVID issues and remote work and coming back to work and all of it is going to have a long-lasting effect. And DEI is, of course, another thing. I mean, we are a Jewish organization who has historically not been very diverse, and we're starting to look at how do we diversify but keep true to our Jewish heritage. So we're working on that. So those are the top things I have going on.
Thank you, Glenn. That's great feedback. Yeah, the DEI side of things is definitely a hot topic these days. We've got quite a bit of activity going in that. One of the things we're proud of is that we're teaching people to serve on of diverse backgrounds to serve on nonprofit boards. And we've got the likes of Travelers and Voya sending their middle management and executives through our trainings, and then we're placing them within our Tango network to serve on boards. It's really starting to gain some momentum. We've got the university that's partnering with us on the DEI initiative. So, there's quite a bit of activity in that space. And if there's anything we can create for leading age on that front, we'd welcome your feedback on that, because it is definitely a hot topic. And, with your guys' workforce, I would think it would be even more important than a lot of other employers, right? So, you have people at all levels of the income spectrum and probably very diverse backgrounds. And to adopt a culture of DEI and move the organization forward with that does some real good these days. So thank you for that. Can you guys talk a little bit about the HR Council as it exists today and how it's working, and maybe brainstorm with us a little bit as to how we can play an impactful role in collaborating with Leading Age on this? We definitely have tentacles into the market that can bring some real resources and some, I think, great topics of discussion. And, obviously this is not sales pitch type stuff. We understand that. We are here to provide education, pure and simple. So if you guys can give us a little backdrop on what's working in the council, and some desire of what you'd like to see to really help you guys, we'd love to hear that too.
Well, I believe that this all stemmed from the beginning of COVID. We had updates every day, multiple times a day, of here's what the latest is, and here's what you need to worry about now, and here's what you need to wear and where people can go. And so us getting together was really giving us a time to be able to disseminate the things that were important to HR. Since that time, we've gone through ebbs and flows of what's really hitting the fan and what's not. We've had some weeks where everybody just kind of sits around and says, nope, got nothing to do today. And other times when we can spend the whole hour on one topic. I think that the value add would be to be able to present something to us on mental health or DEI or compliance, some kind of hot button topics that are happening. Because really, for me, what it comes down to is what don't I know? Is there something out there that I haven't heard about, that I'm not aware of, that I can sink my teeth into and say, you know what, I can spend a little time on that and it's going to save me an enormous amount of time, or it's going to be, some savings on money, or some brand new kind of insurance that's out there that doesn't suck, something like that.
Fantastic. That's right in our wheelhouse, Glenn. So that's very much how we work and interface with the other HR forums that we're tied to. And we definitely have some connections to bring some of those resources to the table. So thank you for that. We'd obviously want to leave time for peer-to-peer too, because again, you guys having your conversation amongst yourselves with the challenges that exist that you're dealing with in the trenches is really important too. So we would recognize that and promote that too. So that's a huge part of the whole thing.
Oh, believe me, we have no problem talking when we have something to say.
Most HR people don't. So we enjoy being part of these groups. They're fantastic people. So Sue, do you share Glenn's thoughts? Does that sound good to you?
I do. I know. I think we were doing it every other week. I think now we're probably all trying to get caught up on everything else that was being done during COVID. So every other week, I think, I know with me, I don't always have the time to jump on for every other week. I know Andrea was doing it just so that we'd have like a forum for us to go to kind of vent and let us all know and get some input from each other. I think we need to get back to maybe once a month with a specific topic that we can discuss, have the hour, a presentation maybe for an hour, Q&A for 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes where we can talk among ourselves in case anything has come up either specifically in the state or with our particular industry as to what exactly is going on.
That sounds like a perfect cadence, because every other week is a lot, right? And we know you guys are busy. So once a month is typically how these things roll. We have some that prefer it a little less frequently. But the key is to be impactful, right? To bring real meaningful topics to the table that are discussed each month. So people are looking forward to it. They're engaged in it. So we will definitely work on those for sure. That we can definitely do. Would it be helpful to send out like a survey to the group, kind of ranking in the level of importance? We could just sort of brainstorm on a variety of topics. We've touched on a lot of them today, but gauge everybody's level of importance and what's front and center for them. And we'd be happy to do that. And we could work with Andrea and get that out to everybody. But
and also the time frame. I mean, I just said a month because I think it should be less than every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
maybe people want it every other month. I mean, it's what can fit into their schedule.
Okay. Yeah, and I think a lot of it's going to be revolved around the topic of the day, right? So we've historically done quite a bit where we have we have a really good relationship with the Connecticut Department of Labor. So oftentimes we'll grab one of their attorneys and say, tell us what we need to watch out for. What's going on out there? And those kind of conversations, we have tremendous attendance. You might have a topic on retirement plans where some people are saying, I'm all set, I don't need to hear about that, but and others are keenly interested in it. So I think we're going to have sort of the ebb and flow of attendance based on what the topic is of the day. So, but we can strive to really bring some meaningful things to the table that I think most people would want to hear about and learn about. And
well, you brought up Department of Labor, and I don't know if Glenn's run into this, but we did have a couple of people who left because of the vaccine requirement, and it did come out from the state. Is the state paying them allowing them to get paid unemployment if it's a condition of employment? Have you heard?
I have not heard. That's a really good question. But it might be a time.
I mean, that's going to suck for those of us who are reimbursable to have to pay these people unemployment because they wouldn't get their vaccine.
Absolutely. When it's a state mandate that they have to get it to work there.
Right.
Yeah. That's, we can certainly maybe kick off our next session with a topic around that. And then go into mental health and DEI as subsequent sessions. But
back to what Glenn said, I think the paid leave program starting in January, I think that's probably going to be a hot topic. We're not really getting a lot. We have the state that we're dealing with. Now we have AFLAC, who's going to be the vendor. So I don't even think, as Glenn said, the state even has the process set up yet as to who's talking to who when.
No, this has all the earmarks of
disaster.
Yeah. I am glad they outsourced it to AFLAC. I don't know if any of you guys work with AFLAC, but they can run hot. They can run hot and cold in their own, area of expertise. So it'll be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. But the trigger points for people qualifying for coverage are pretty liberal. Employees are paying for it. So I think there's going to be this inherent feeling that, hey, I'm paying for it, I'm going to use it. And, we have a hard enough time dealing with workforce issues right now without an incentive to take time off. So there's going to be some emerging strategies around that. But yeah, that might be good. I have a very good relationship with Andrea Barton-Reeves, who's the CEO. And, we've had her speak at quite a few things. Might be an interesting time to get her to talk to us all about what's going on at the state and how they're going to be handling this, sort of a checkpoint. It's been a while since we've asked her to speak. It was the early days, but that might be an interesting topic as well.
And not any later than the beginning of November. I don't know how Glenn feels, but if we've got to be preparing on this, we really need a little bit of a head start so we kind of can get our processes in place. Do you agree, Glenn? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Great.
just so that you know, just in case you hadn't seen, there are a couple more people on the call at this point.
Oh, great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Please, please feel free to speak up. My name is Roland Schuster. I'm the managing director of NFP, prior to the Schuster Group. Trin, hi, I see your name there. And I'm here with Gil from our firm, and we're working closely with Andrea to help bring some more resources to the HR Council meetings. So we've got a lot of talent at our beck and call, and just want to support you guys as best we can. So please speak up. This is a roundtable discussion where we're just soliciting really your ideas and your levels of importance as it relates to various topics. So we're excited to be part of this and hope to bring some real depth to these discussions. So yeah, we can certainly work on that out of the gate. I think November would be an ideal time because you don't want to be boxed into a corner with all sorts of regulatory stuff. And now all of a sudden you have people seeking to go out on leave and no one has a process built to handle that. So, and that almost dovetails into the whole conversation of what else can we do from a recruitment and retention standpoint. You know, it's definitely related in some form or fashion. So any other topics that are really critical to you guys? Anything on this list that you don't want to hear about or have heard so much about that you're done? Okay. So cadence, we talked. Oh, go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
I look at the list and having done most of this, I look at it and I say, okay, there's probably 6 or 7 things on there that I don't want to hear about, but I would never want to close off the door for newer people who haven't been subjected to some of this to say, you know, talent management, I got that one in the bag, but other people might not. So I would hate to say, yeah, that's something I would take off the list.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. Thank you. So committee, in some of the forums we have, there's a subcommittee, and I know you guys probably have more meetings to go to than time permits, but is there a desire to have a subgroup of the HR Council that is closely communicating with us on upcoming events and speakers, or should we just kind of leave it open architecture, if you will, and you know, just gauge everybody's opinion from one event to the next to set the stage for future conversations? Any feeling? Do you guys have a subcommittee now that spearheads certain topics or anything now?
No,
We don't.
No, I have an education council, which I rely upon for like year planning for large events.
Yeah.
But that's
And I
about
think if you're planning, I think the survey you send out with the time frame, whatever you come up with, I think that would be the best guide for what everyone's looking for information.
Okay.
And then you can just, you know, to go back to what Glenn said, I think the top topic is probably going to be paid leave, especially for the first meeting.
Yeah.
So, you know, that may be something that you want people to, I'm just thinking, people could maybe send questions in so that you could answer specific questions, but do it in advance. So you could probably put it into your presentation, because 15 minutes or a half hour at the end of a presentation like that's probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Where if people can submit questions in advance, if you build it into your presentation, then a lot of those questions would get answered during that time. So that might help. But Glenn, what do you think about, you know, the order of doing it based on who wants what, like the highest number and work its way down?
yeah, I think that's probably a good way to go about it. It's because there are going to be different things at different times that jump out in front, and you know, legislation at any point can change everything that you're dealing with. So I think the paid leave, of course, is right on the forefront, but after that, it ends up being who needs to hear what at which time.
Great. Okay, perfect. So we will definitely work on the survey. And, maybe we set an agenda a quarter in advance, fully knowing that if some legislation appears or some hot topic emerges, that we can shift gears on the fly and really go deep on something as it's presented. So do you guys seek CE credits? Are any of you SHRM certified? And is that important to the group, or is there enough resources out there to get credits? Because we're looking at this in a broader fashion, and some of these things we could probably qualify for some level of CE credits. It's a bit of a rigmarole to get that certification and all that stuff, but some of the speakers come with some of that already in, sort of baked in their presentations, and just curious as to whether or not that's an important component of this, or is it really just sort of this organic discussion based on the topic of the day?
Roland, for me personally, it would be great because seeking out the SHRM credits during the pandemic has been nearly impossible for me. I mean, you go on those webinars, you get only 1 point.
Yeah. Okay, great, Chin. Thanks for the feedback on that. Anybody else?
Same for me. I'm always interested in more SHRM credits because, during the pandemic, I was doing those Wednesday seminars for 5.5 hours. So I was getting them at 3.75 or 4 every week or every month. So I was doing pretty well through there. I'm all set up through 2026, but I'll always take more.
Okay, great. We will try to weave some of the presentations in that can qualify for those CE credits. So anything else? Gil, any ideas on your end that any topics we haven't focused in on?
No, I think it's great. I think a lot of good ideas. Like the idea of the questions going out in advance to help kind of the presentation, but also make sure the content's what people are looking for. I think the topic of culture probably weaved into a bunch of these things. Mental health and retention and all those things. I think we've definitely seen that with a clear defined culture have better results from a retention perspective and perspective. So that might just be an overriding theme in some of these different presentations that go on, but I think it's great feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree on that culture too, Gil. So what I would like to suggest, if it's even possible, because I feel like a lot of times culture is so heavily put on HR that it doesn't even make sense to me, because culture is about each department as well. I do feel that with a culture, it really trickles from the top down. And maybe it's possible that when we do have that meeting about, the work culture or whatever it is that a company wants to build or say about their work culture, maybe at that point we could invite our hiring managers or, the executive directors that are in charge of each department, because they have a huge, a huge say in how a culture is within their own department, not just within the company. I think it shouldn't fall on just HR.
Trent, really great point, right? Yeah, this is this council, when you guys see it fit to expand the audience to senior leadership, middle management, whatever you think, we'd welcome that. That's good stuff, because especially around culture, because you're right, no one person, one division within an organization can shift culture. It has to be kind of an organizational wide adoption. So that topic is far reaching. That would be a really interesting, I think, panel discussion. Not one expert, but a multitude of folks kind of casting their opinions and success stories as it relates to culture. So we'll definitely spearhead that. From what I'm gathering out of the gate, there's 2 things that we should be working on. One is the survey out to everybody. We'll get cracking on that. That'll go out next week. 2 is what I'd like to do is try to get somebody from the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority ideally Andrea Barton Reeves, who's the lead, and maybe their Aflac connection, who knows? But somebody, and maybe even a DOL attorney to talk about some of the things, Sue, you brought up, you know, and have a panel discussion on that topic and go deep and make sure that we are all prepared to deal with that wave of potential requests and how it's going to be handled and what you have to do as an employer. So do you guys agree with that out of the gate? Those
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
two primary takeaways, survey, and let's get cracking on the Connecticut paid leave session.
And we may even need, and I hate to use the month December, but we may even need something in December, just the last minute stuff, because you know the state, they're gonna come out with stuff on like December 20th that none of us knew about.
Yeah,
That suddenly changes everything.
absolutely.
So, you know, maybe we can leave something open. If not, then maybe the very first couple of weeks of January, once it gets started, like as a follow-up to, okay, this is where we are. This has changed in the last month, because
Yeah.
it's the state and it will.
Yeah, absolutely. For years, we ran with one of our HR groups, and with COVID, it kind of got off track last year, but we ran what did we call it? It was like a holiday compliance session. So it was, you know, as you close out the year, is there anything that I need to be aware of that I didn't do before the end of the year? And looking forward, what's expected from us in our seat to deal with the state compliance and even federal compliance. So those were really pretty fun. We also sprinkled in a little bit of holiday cheer around those too. So it was kind of a fun event, and but an impactful one at that. So definitely a good point for the December meeting. Okay.
Or
Great.
January if we decide not to do December.
Yeah, great. Okay, good. So I think I have our takeaways. Gil, you're good on what we should be doing?
Yep. Sounds good.
Excellent. And Andrea, we'll work with you on we'll create the survey and get that over to you. If you could help us distribute that out to the members, that would be great. And you know what, guys, we're all ears. So as you guys have ideas, suggestions, input, we want to hear this. We want this to be impactful for you too. So, you know, we're trying to create a partnership here that's meaningful. So we want to hear your desires and input and feedback on all this stuff. So, but we're committed to taking this to the next level for you guys. So
Thank you.
thanks for allowing
Thank
us
you,
in.
Ellen.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, I have two things to share with you from MAG, which I'll email as well. But on September 24th, I guess Leading Age is going to be sending out a staffing survey that will help create a snapshot of the staffing situation for leading age providers across the continuum. They're going to use the results and advocacy with members of Congress and the administration to illustrate what our crisis looks like on the ground inside aging service organizations. So survey only takes a few minutes and it's due by the 24th. So I will share the link with you. And then we are also doing, Leading Age Connecticut is doing a special compensation survey for hourly staff. So I'll be sending out that link as well. Surveys must be completed by October 8th, and members who participate and complete the survey in its entirety will be offered the results free of charge. And the results will be distributed in November. So we encourage everyone to participate. So look in your emails for those links to be coming from me shortly.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Add it to the to-do list, right, guys?
Yes.
Yippee.
That's good. Yeah. Sounds like good information to have, though. So
Yeah.
good stuff.
Okay.
Well, Andrea, thanks for spearheading this, and thank you guys for attending. Appreciate it. Good seeing you all, and we'll follow up on our end and be back to you all soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye.